Hey, it's Worth Playboy.
And my Playboys Bunny.
Welcome to our podcast where we discuss pickup, game, relationships, and
Sex.
basic training rule number 9. I'll preface this with, we do not recommend dinner dates as first dates.
No.
Dinner dates are for girls that you're already fucking and you want to invest a little bit of time and money and effort into.
Yeah, they're like girlfriend candidates or something along those lines. Not even just fuck buddies.
Yeah, but if you've already been having sex, or you're in the position of, you're the professional, escort. Like, a girlfriend says, hey, I need a guy that will take me to this event.
Yeah.
You have to have your shit together. Always have a reservation.
Or if you're in a relationship. If you're
Yes.
married, this applies to you.
It's funny, this does fall off, and the girls are like, you used to make reservations.
Well, yeah, guys tend to fall off on a lot of things. You used to do a lot of things, but it's a bad
Reservations.
idea.
Always call as soon as you have plans are made and get a reservation for a table. You don't need this at Bennigan's. You don't need it at Applebee's.
Yeah.
But if you're going to like a local place, you're going to need reservations. Even during the week, it just reduces the risk, because what you're trying to do is avoid any change in momentum of your day.
Yeah.
You have a plan, you pick her up or she meets you there, and you don't want to be sitting in the foyer. You don't want to be forced to you don't want to be bounced around like we don't have a table for 4 hours.
Right.
And now you're like walking around downtown trying to find a table. You want to be able to go in and at most wait knowing you have a table coming, that you've already reserved.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you still have to wait a few minutes, but you can have a drink. But at least it shows that even though you're kind of an asshole, you have your shit together.
Exactly.
And that's really what it conveys. And it just makes your life easier. Like in Texas, in the summer, it's 140 degrees at 5 p.m. And one of my nightmares is like having to wait outside with a beeper in your hand waiting for the goddamn table. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what
awful.
I imagine. That's what I imagine when these guys are like, well, I could always have a drink. I'm like, if you're in a hot environment, the last thing you want is your date melting, getting more and more pissed off, and dying of dehydration before you even get to the... Because
you're trying to make, inevitably, when you're waiting for a table, you're having to also make small talk. By the time you get to a table, if you've had to do this, even if it's a 20-minute wait, which sounds like nothing when you're standing at the hostess table, but even just standing around for 20 minutes making small talk, by the time you get to your table, there's nothing left to talk about, and you're both kind of irritated. And why start a date that way? Even if this is with your wife of 30 years. Make a fucking reservation.
Yeah. And she had, Buddy has a good point. And I don't see 20-minute waits. I usually see around here an hour. And that's enough to just piss people off.
Yeah.
And Buddy's right. I mean, you're irritated. It's kind of like if somebody's running late to a date, and I always tell guys, don't go till she tells you she's there. And guys are like, well, I don't mind waiting. But you're still irritated.
Right.
When she walks in there 20 minutes later, whether it's conscious or unconscious. So have a reservation. It's easy to do. And it just makes the whole thing run smoother.
Right.
It
does.
It keeps your momentum going, and then you're out of there. So that's the real deal.
And women respect a man with a plan who clearly actually think ahead of things, because her last boyfriend never did. Her ex-husband, didn't have his shit together. He could never get anything done because he wouldn't, do this. It takes very few things to impress women, really. And getting a reservation and having a table reserved with your name on it goes a long way.
And again, this is one of those things that I put in this book, because when you're a young guy, you don't know. I mean, it's not something anybody tells you.
Right.
And a lot of guys, if you come from lower middle class, Red Lobster was about as good as it got. You went there once a year.
And I will say, on that note, it doesn't mean it has to be a super high-priced restaurant to take reservations. But it's impressive if you have one.
Yeah.
So seek out places that actually take reservations, even if they're not, even if they're not pushing your budget. If they can be within your monetary budget,
Yeah.
and then you've just got a smooth. It's almost like having a personal assistant. It just makes your life so much more smooth to have this set.
Exactly.
You walk in with your date, you're both put together, you lead her to the hostess stand, you say, table for two, this is the name. She says, oh yes, right here. And follow me, please.
Perfect.
And everyone else is standing around with a beeper in their hands.
It's like that.
Or the equivalent.
Yeah.
So this just makes you look and feel better. It makes your life easier, and it makes everyone just impressed with your skills. And all it takes is a phone call or an online reservation. It doesn't even take it.
Yeah, you can do it. I mean, there's no restaurant that you open now that doesn't have an open table or reserve a table. And again, it doesn't cost nothing.
It's completely free to make a reservation.
It's probably the only thing out there now that makes your life easier that doesn't cost anything.
True. Good point. In the end, we want you to win. If you haven't already picked it up, Fort Worth's Basic Training 1 and Book 2 are now available, either individually or as a bundle. We love to hear your stories. Tell us about times when you have made a reservation and your date actually said something about how phenomenal it was that you made a reservation, that she's maybe that her last boyfriend, never would make reservations and we were always standing around. Or a time when you should have made a reservation and immediately were like, well, I look like a dick now.
It sucks.
I mean, there are times when guys will walk into 3 different restaurants before they have as little as a 30-minute wait. It's like, it makes you look like an absolute idiot just not to have a reservations. So make one. We want you to win. Bye!